Hi, I'm Bruce, and today I want to help you get the best dagger hair equipment possible, and I'm going to do that by showing you how to make one of our short swords. This is we call this the Gladius online. This is a short blue sword. It also has a green stabbing tip, and I'm going to show you how to put one together. These are all the materials. Now you're going to need a few extra things to put this together. You're going to need some athletic tape, some filament tape. Duct tape can work if you can't afford or can't find filament tape. It is available on my website, as well as the hockey tape. But in a pinch, duct tape can replace it. There is, however, no replacement for the cloth hockey tape. You have to use that. You'll also need some glues. You're going to need some DAP, and if you can get it, you can also use these spray glues. I use the Clearco 444 and the Foam Fast 74 on this. But again, you can make all your joints with DAP if this is all you can find or all you can afford. First, I start with the fiberglass core. I want to wrap this in my hockey tape here so that it's sealed in, doesn't give splinters. Do that by spiraling it down. Now, in this how-to video, I'm going to refer to a lot of techniques that I demonstrate in another one of my videos on adhesives and materials. So if you haven't watched that already, I recommend you go check it out now. I'll finish wrapping this. Okay, so now I've got my fiberglass core all wrapped up in the hockey tape and topped off nicely. So now I'm ready to start gluing foam to the core. I start with the 1.5 inch strips. And for this bond, you can use DAP or you can use the Foam Fast 74. I recommend DAP. It's going to be the strongest joint, but for the purposes of speed today, I'm going to use the Foam Fast 74. Okay, so I've gone ahead and used the 74 on the edges of my 1.5 inch strips and on both sides of my core. So now I'm going to go ahead and join those together. Always start all your bonds from the tip. You want to make sure you get as flush a surface, as evenly aligned as possible here. This foam is kind of stretchy, so you might end up with a different length at the bottom, but you can trim that. You want to make sure it's nice and flush at the top. So I start with that top joint just touching the corner. And now, I just watch that one edge and slowly apply it down. Do the same on the other side. Once both pieces are joined, push them in towards each other so you make sure that the foam gets maximum contact. The next step is to glue this piece of Kevlar around the tip of the sword. This is going to help it in two ways. It's going to keep this fiberglass core from ever coming free and poking forward after repeated thrusts, and it's also going to help keep it from blowing out the side. This is a major way that most swords break, is your core actually comes through the flat of the blade after repeated use. This is really going to stop that from happening. It's going to lock it right in there. Next, I'm going to glue the blade flat onto the side like this.
And I'm zoomed in, go ahead.
Okay, so now I've sprayed these pieces in a well-ventilated area, waited at least my 30 seconds. I can go ahead and join them on. Again, start from the tip. I like to get that corner nice and lined up, and then pull it over to the other side. So I just have the top lined up. Now I'll take one edge and just line that up without making a lot of other contact between the foams. I'm also making sure I'm not pulling on the foam to stretch it. I'm just letting it lay where it wants to. Okay, so now I'll come around to this side, and here I might want to do a little stretching and pushing. That Kevlar's spaced it out a little bit, so it wants to fall a little short. So I kind of push that middle edge in as I come around the top to make sure that the edge stays nice and flush. And it's easier, of course, as you move down. All right, nice smooth edge. And we'll do the other side. Now that I have these both kind of stuck down loosely at the edges, now I want to go back and sort of just squeeze my way down the whole blade to make sure it's all gotten in contact with itself. All right, that's the basic blade done. So now I've gotten my basic sandwich done. I can go ahead and apply the rest of my foams to make the tip. First, I'm going to start with a square of Eva foam. Now, if you're using blue foam to make your sword, you can use a piece of that instead, but I like to put one piece of this denser foam right on top of the core first. Then I'm going to stick on my piece of Ensolite like this, and then my Velara is going to wrap right over it. Now, in order to make an even wrap so you don't end up staggered and off center, I do like to measure the Velara. It's 11 inches wide. Find my center point at 5.5 and just mark that before I start applying glue. I'm going to go into a well-ventilated area, get these all glued up and ready to put together.
Go ahead.
Okay, I like to start by putting my two pieces of foam together because it's easier to maneuver them than when they're stuck on the end of the sword. Start with one edge, like so. Go down to one of your long edges, make sure that lines up, and just sort of work your way around. If this isn't quite lining up, the Ensolite's really stretchy, so you can kind of push and pull it to try to make sure it just joins right with that edge. Give it a few squeezes and apply the next layer of glue. Now I've sprayed glue onto both of these sides. I like to make sure it gets nice and heavy on the Kevlar there. And I'm going to go ahead and join the one edge together first, just like we did before. If for some reason you ever find that the spray glues in particular start to slide, they don't bond as soon as they make contact, you need to wait a few more seconds before bringing them together. Now I'm using spray glue for all these connections, but you can use DAP, that's just fine as well. Just going around the edge and making sure it all stays right in place. And now just want to apply a little pressure, make sure there's good contact. All right. Now it's ready to apply the Velara.